Latham, before the break, we were talking about Coca-Cola and a Coke and a smile. But this applies to other drinks, right? Budweiser, didn't they have a little problem with DEI?
They did. I think most Americans, particularly in this economy, with inflation still a factor, most Americans are looking for the best product at the best value, at the best price. They don't care about the skin color or the sexuality of who made it or who sold it to them. And that's what we're trying to get business back to. Now, on the other hand, if you force that upon them, the way Budweiser did, they will react, and they reacted, the way consumers do by not buying the product. Anheuser-Busch, I think it was a couple of billion in shareholder value that they lost.
Just wiped out because they were forced. It's interesting. I saw a poll, and then I saw specific reactions from people being polled about the election, Trump versus Harris. And they said, with Trump, yeah, he may be crazy. We may get crazy. But with Harris, we get preachy. And I'll tell you what, I would rather have crazy that's not trying to tell me how to live and what to do than preachy that's trying to control every aspect of my life. And so I'm voting, even anti-Trump people traditionally said, I'm voting Trump over preachy.
Yeah, and I think there's an important lesson there for the private sector as well. We want your company to be effective. We want you to make a good product, sell it at a good price. I don't want to have to consider all of these other issues when I'm walking down the aisle at the grocery store or when I'm going to buy a car or whatever it may be. And so whatever's going to make you the most effective should be the policy. And DEI policies just have not borne that out. Whereas hiring the best people, putting them in the best positions to be successful does. Merit-based hiring and promotion.
Right, and allowing for diverse viewpoints. If you're black, you don't have to vote for this way. If you're a woman, you don't have to vote this way. I heard this recently at a conference. There are a lot of women where pro-choice is a big issue for them, but there's a lot of women where pro-life is a big issue for them. It's not necessarily a gender split on that issue. We had recently in the economic war room, we had Donna Jackson from Project 21. And you think, well, DEI, it's not good for consumers. It doesn't benefit consumers. It doesn't make the product any better. It's not good for investors because it doesn't add anything to the bottom line in profits. In fact, it costs money. You have these big DEI departments and people suing. But at least maybe it helps the minority who needs to get a job. And she's like, absolutely not. She said, I was top of my class. I was the best accountant there. In the private sector, I did better work than anybody else. And yet, whenever I would walk in and present my findings, I knew they were thinking, well, that's a DEI hire. It hurt her. It did not help her. And that's a black woman, a brilliant lady.
Yeah, and you see that. When the employees know that policy exists and it's time for, performance evaluations, promotions, that sort of thing, bonuses or whatever, there can be an inclination amongst somebody who didn't get the promotion to automatically assume the person who didn't earn it, and that's another.
So it creates more racial strife, not less. Exactly. It doesn't help the minority; it hurts them. Or even if you do promote people based on DEI metrics where they're not earned, it causes people to not try very hard.
Right, and that's one of the sort of joking different definitions of DEI is didn't earn it. Right, people say that. I say it's diminished earnings. Intentionally.
Yeah.
You're making bad policy, knowing what the results are going to be.
Well, a lot of this has come up just recently. I think it's June 2023, there was a Supreme Court ruling against Harvard. Can you explain what they ruled and how that's hitting corporations?
Well, that, if I'm thinking of the same case, deals with admissions policies in universities. And if I recall correctly, the folks that brought that suit were Asian Americans who had been on the receiving end of lower admissions.
Discrimination. They were discriminated against. Despite their high grades, despite their high scores.
All the credentials,